Welcome back to the Fakemon videos. If you're new here, welcome. When I started this Fakemon region, I had in mind a typical iconic western set piece: open plains, prairies, grasslands, deserts, and mesas. I was contemplating making this a California-based region, but I started researching and came upon some surprises. I've traveled from SoCal to San Francisco many times before, so I knew it was a long trip. I figured San Francisco was right here, near the northern edge of California. Well, I'm embarrassed to admit that I just found out San Francisco is actually right here, right in the middle of old CA. I even thought there was like only one state above California. Nope. There are actually two states above California. I always heard foreigners say that the United States was huge, but holy guacamole, I didn't realize my own country was this big. Even though this region will be technically bigger than California, I want to get this out of my system anyways. California doesn't really have the rootin' aesthetic I was imagining for this region. In fact, the only thing like that aesthetic is the Gold Rush, but it's quite the opposite of rootin' tootin'. They really didn't teach me about the indigenous genocide in California despite living in this state all my life. Besides that, it is my duty as an American patriot to bring the Wild West to you guys. I'll be basing this region on the southwestern United States minus California. Maybe a little bit of Texas too, but I'm not sure. I want this to be the Bass Pro Shop of Pokemon regions. Today, I'm going to show two Pokemon lines you will likely encounter on Route 1 or any of the early routes. You start your very new Pokemon game, and you set your feet in the tall grass. You encounter one of this region's unique Pokemon. You may have picked this up before, but usually every region has an early route rodent like Rattata and Bidoof, so I'll start with that. You know what I love? Bunnies. Baby bunnies. Yes, bunnies are rodents. I think bunnies are really cute, though they're not my favorite kind of pet. Thankfully, this design was pretty easy for me as I had two things in mind. 1. Make it as adorable as possible. 2. Try and make it visually distinct from the other bunny Pokemon. I primarily based this guy on baby desert cottontails. Meet Fluffbun, the mythical bunny Pokemon. These Pokemon are fairly common to encounter with trainers as their sheer cuteness makes them a very popular Pokemon. My first idea for this guy was that he was a jackrabbit jackalope crossed with an agave plant, because there's a Mexican drink called pulque, which comes from the agave, and there is a Mexican myth called Senson Totochin. Please forgive my pronunciation, which is comprised of hundreds of divine rabbits who come together and party and drink. I think this would have been a very clever combo, but maybe I could just make an agave Pokemon. Also, I really wanted to capture the very wild look that jackrabbits have, not only with how they look, but their massive open eyes. I think I did a pretty good job capturing that. Lopajack, the mythical jackrabbit Pokemon. Many people seem to think that they're elusive creatures, but it is just that their instinct of self-preservation is so high, they will run away before you even spot them. Don't mistake their timid nature for weakness, as they can put up a good fight once they're cornered. Their strong legs are no joke. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but I think there's some early carnivoran Pokemon such as Poochyena and Rockruff. What are carnivorans? According to aimnh.org, while you might think that carnivora means meat eater, this isn't true. The ecological term for meat-eating animal is carnivore, which is a bit confusing, but while most carnivorans eat mainly meat, carnivora is one of the major orders of placental mammals and one of the most diverse. Some carnivorans eat both meat and plants, and a few, like the giant panda, subsist almost entirely on plants. Carnivora is divided into two main groups based on relationships. The Falliformia are typically cat-like and includes cats, hyenas, and mongooses, while Caniformia is the more dog-like species such as bears, badgers, and skunks. The line I'm about to show you falls into the Carnivora. This little guy is based on the black-footed ferret. I messed up this drawing initially because I used a yongoose as the base because I wanted to make it a regional form. However, I am a fool because I assumed Hawaii actually had a ferret problem. And the designers at Gamefreak just decided to use the name mongoose because for some reason I made it up. So I had to redesign this little guy again. This is a problem because even though mongooses and weasels look similar, there are two different parts of Carnivora, like I mentioned earlier. Mongooses fall into the cat-like group, while weasels are part of the dog-like group of Carnivora. Thankfully, I didn't have to change much, but man, I really gotta do a wincy-bitty little bit more of research when making these mons. Weasrie, the black-footed ferret Pokemon. Primarily nocturnal, this Pokemon's favorite meal is the local electric rodent, though it will hunt other rodent Pokemon if it needs to. This Pokemon will use pre-made burrows as shelter. Sometimes the burrows have once belonged to those it has eaten. This one was kinda easy for me to design. I already knew that I wanted the ferret to evolve into an American badger because weasels and badgers are part of the same group, Mustelidae, which falls under the dog-like carnivorans. The biggest challenge when designing this guy was that I was afraid of him resembling Galarian Linoone and Obstagoon too much since they're based on European badgers. So, in an attempt to make this guy look more unique, I decided to draw a quarter of him in the ground. I imagined that he would pop out of the ground from time to time to attack. Also, I took some inspiration from Sneasler for the claws. Burowbadg, the burrow-badging Pokemon. Now that this Pokemon has short and more powerful arms, it can make its own burrows. In fact, many other Pokemon may use abandoned Burowbadg burrows as a home. And there we have it, Fluffbun, Lopajack, Weasrie, and Burowbadg. Let me know who you would have on your team. Feedback and criticism are welcome. If you'd like to see the works in progress behind the scenes and early artwork, feel free to check out my Patreon. Sorry it took a while to upload this video. I was wondering how other Pokemon artists upload a video more than once a month, and I found out it's because they only have a few designs per video, instead of the amount that I was drawing. The good news is that I have a bunch of art ready for other videos, so expect a few videos every week or two. Again, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Have a good one. Here's a teaser of a Pokemon that will be part of the next video.